Dragged in chains through the void, a psyker prisoner faces the unending nightmare of the black ships, where minds burn, sanity collapses, and the Emperor's judgment waits in silence. The silence is never complete. Even here, buried in the bowels of the black ship Sanctis Mortem, silence breathes. It hums through the metal, a pulse that is not sound but presence, a weight pressing against every thought, every heartbeat, every whisper that tries to escape your lips. I am called Varan Solas, though names mean nothing here. The moment the astropaths dragged me aboard, I ceased to be a man. I became a containment risk, a walking curse, a spark waiting to ignite the abyss. The chains bite deeper every time the hull trembles. They say the black ships never stop moving, never rest, never truly anchor anywhere in the void. They drift from world to world, filling their holds with the condemned, those born with the gift that is also a death sentence. Psychers, we are fuel for the golden throne, or so the whispers say. I first heard that phrase the moment the cell door closed behind me. A woman 2 cells down, voice cracked, words trembling through the vents, whispered it like a prayer, or maybe a curse. Fuel for his light, she murmured. We burn so he may shine. I wanted to answer her, ask who he truly was, but the ship doesn't like when we speak too much. The walls listen. The servitors embedded in them twitch and hum, their eyes like dim stars in the dark. Once a man screamed for hours after speaking forbidden words. When the silence returned, his cell was empty. No trace, not even blood. That's how I learned the first rule. The black ships feed on sound. Every thought you let escape becomes a beacon. And something, somewhere within these decks, always hungers for light. I've been aboard for 32 days if my internal count is right. The lights never change. The air is cold but never fresh. Every few hours, distant claxons moan through the ship like whales lost in an endless night. Some say those are the souls being tested, those who failed the bindings and are being taken to the lower decks. I don't know if that's true. I do know that I dream in screams now. The dreams began on the 7th day. It was subtle at first, images of planets burning, of ships aflame, of voices layered one atop another like waves collapsing on themselves. Then came the visions, people I've never met, eyes filled with terror, and always in the distance a sound like thunder, but too constant, too alive. 1,000 thoughts whispering at once. The psychers near me began to break. One started clawing at his eyes, saying he could see the Emperor's shadow. Another began laughing in his sleep, louder each night until the guards came. They dragged him out and sealed the corridor. After that, we could all smell burning flesh through the vents. By the 20th day, I stopped trying to sleep at all. But the dreams don't need sleep anymore. That's when I began hearing her. The voice doesn't come through sound. It comes through thoughts soft at first like a memory half remembered. A woman's tone, calm, clear, patient. Varan, she says, you see it, don't you? The lie they built around the light. At first I ignored it. I thought it was madness. Every prisoner hears things eventually. The ship amplifies psychic resonance to test us, they say. But then she began describing things she couldn't know, memories of my childhood on Vesta Prime, the night my powers manifested, the taste of ash when I burned half a hab block by accident. The screams, the smell. Your guilt makes you weak, she says, but your fear keeps you human. I ask her name in silence, thinking the thought into the void. She answers, I am what they came here to destroy. I feel her smile when she says it. Not a human smile, something vast, something older than language. And when she laughs, the metal beneath me trembles. That night, one of the guards outside my corridor dropped dead without a sound. The others whispered prayers, their faith stuttering in their throats. I just sat in the dark, listening to the faint echo of her laughter fade into the hum of the ship. The next day, the interrogations began. They came in squads, silent sisters, their faces covered in mirrored masks. Their presence burns like frost. When they enter a corridor, the psychic noise dims, the voices vanish, and the air tastes clean, terrifyingly clean. One by one, they drag prisoners into the white chamber beyond the iron door. Some return broken. Most don't return at all. When my turn came, I thought I was ready. I thought I could hide the voice. But the moment I saw them, I felt her inside my mind again. "Do not speak," she said. "Do not reveal me. I am your only truth." They chained me to a metal chair beneath the light. No shadows, no warmth. The sister in front of me held a staff tipped with a crystalline spike that pulsed in rhythm with my heartbeat. Another pressed a hand to my temple, cold, absolute. "State your name," one of them said, her voice echoing from behind the mask. I opened my mouth, but another voice came out. "I am not yours to burn." The room froze. The light flickered. The staff began to glow brighter, and the mirrors of their masks reflected something I couldn't comprehend. A shape behind me, vast and shifting, pressing against the edges of the material world. My body convulsed. The air filled with the sound of screaming metal. Then, as suddenly as it began, everything went black. I woke in my cell again. No wounds, no explanation. The guards avoided my gaze. Even the servitors stared a moment too long before dimming their lenses. Something had changed. And she was still there. "You survived," she whispered. "Good, they know now, they'll watch you closer, but they can't stop what's already inside." "What are you?" I thought back. Her answer was a whisper that crawled across my bones. "I am the echo of every thought they silenced." The days since then have blurred together. Sometimes I see shapes moving in the dark corners of my cell, hands pressed against the metal from the other side. Sometimes I feel heat rising from the floor, as if the void below the ship burns with invisible fire. And always her voice, guiding, tempting, warning. "They think they can cage the mind," she says, "but the mind was never theirs to own." Last night something cracked in the hull. The lights flickered. The psychic noise surged like a tidal wave. All around me, prisoners screamed as unseen forces tore through the decks. I felt her surge within me, reaching out, touching every thought in the hold. And then, for the first time, I heard them all, thousands of voices, all at once, crying out in terror and unity. "We are not fuel." The words echoed through the corridors. The ship responded with alarms, servitors activating, sisters marching in silence. But it was too late. Something had been unleashed. And in the heart of it all, she whispered again, her tone filled with terrible calm. "Do you see it now, Varin? This ship isn't a prison, it's a beacon, and something is coming to answer." The lights flickered once more. The air turned sharp, electric, and somewhere deep within the void, something answered back. There is a pulse beneath the ship now, a heartbeat that is not mechanical, not human, not of the void. It reverberates through the decks like a slow drumbeat in the dark, faint yet constant. Every prisoner feels it. Even the silent sisters seem tense now, their patrols more frequent, their masks turning faster toward every sound. The air smells different too, ozone and rust, like the aftertaste of lightning. Something has changed inside Sancti's Mortem. And I know it began with her. The others whisper her name through thought alone. They call her the voice in the black, the phantom that speaks between dreams. Some pray to her in desperation. Others curse her for the madness she brings. But she is more than a whisper now. She has form, subtle, invisible, but present. When I close my eyes, I see her not as flesh but as thought given weight, a silhouette woven from memories and sorrow. I no longer remember the exact moment I accepted her. Perhaps it was the night the screams became songs, or when the guards began avoiding my corridor entirely. Perhaps it was when I realized she wasn't just speaking to me anymore. She was speaking through me. It began 2 nights after the hull cracked. I was half conscious, chained to the wall, when I felt warmth against my chest. The metal burned, glowing faintly red, and my body convulsed as 1,000 whispers bled into my mind at once. Not voices of torment or pain, these were structured, deliberate. Fragments of thoughts pressed into mine, a chorus of clarity amidst chaos. They were terrified, but not of the sisters. They were terrified of silence. Then her voice cut through them all, steady as a blade. Do you understand now, Varin? The silence is their weapon. Every mind aboard this ship is a note in a symphony of suppression. But you are the discord. I remember whispering in thought, why me? Her laughter was soft, almost human, because you listened. The ship shuddered violently as if in answer. Somewhere far above, alarms screamed through the void corridors. The prisoners began chanting in madness or faith, I couldn't tell which. And then, for a heartbeat, I saw her. She stood in my cell like a reflection half pulled from glass. A shape made of absence, her edges flickering like dying stars. Eyes without pupils. Hair flowing as though suspended in deep water. Her lips moved, and though she never truly spoke, the words carved themselves into the air between us. They built this place to harvest souls, but every harvest seeds rebellion. I could not move, could not breathe. Around her the walls bent inward as though the ship itself tried to resist her presence. Sparks crackled in the vents. My restraints hissed and snapped. When I blinked she was gone, but the cell door was open. It should have been impossible. The locks on the black ships are controlled from the bridge, sealed by psychic command and ritual key. Yet mine hung ajar, silent. For a long moment I didn't move. Then the whisper came again. Walk, Varin, they will not see you. So I walked. The corridor beyond was dim and trembling, its lamps flickering like dying eyes. The air was thick with incense and the copper scent of blood. I stepped over a pool of it near the corner, a guard's corpse, eyes open, expression frozen in silent prayer. His armor was intact. His weapon lay unused beside him. The silence was unnatural, too complete. Even the psychic hum that always vibrated beneath the skin of the ship was gone. I felt naked, exposed to the infinite. Then faintly I heard footsteps, not marching, stumbling. A prisoner emerged from the shadows ahead, eyes wide with disbelief. Varin, she whispered. I recognized her instantly, the voice from the first night, the one who had spoken through the vent. How are you walking free? She opened the door, I said without thinking. The woman flinched, The voice. Her expression shifted from fear to something darker, recognition. You hear her too. Before I could answer, a scream split the corridor. A man, somewhere behind us, was being dragged into the air by nothing. His body twisted unnaturally, limbs snapping one by one. A black shimmer rippled through the air around him, like a reflection of heat, but alive. Then he was gone, simply gone. The woman grabbed my arm, trembling. It's spreading, she hissed. Whatever that thing is, it's in the walls now. We have to move. We ran. Corridor after corridor, the ship changed around us. Walls warped, lights dimmed, doors sealed and unsealed without command. The further we went, the more we felt it, the hum beneath the metal turning from silence to a deep vibration that shook the breath from our lungs. We passed other prisoners, some kneeling in prayer, others tearing at their restraints as if possessed. The entire ship was alive with panic, and yet no guards came. No sisters. Only the endless echo of running feet and breaking steel. At last, we reached a wide chamber filled with containment tanks, thousands of them, each housing a psyker in suspended animation. They floated in amniotic light, eyes closed, faces peaceful. The machinery that sustained them pulsed rhythmically, like organs in a titanic body. The woman stared in horror. This is where they keep the ones too powerful to test. I stepped closer to one of the tanks. The face inside was serene, almost angelic. Yet when I looked closer, I saw something behind his eyelids, movement, twitching. And then his eyes opened. Pure black, endless. The tank cracked, then another and another. The air filled with psychic static, so intense it felt like being skinned alive by thought alone. The woman screamed, clutching her head. My vision blurred, and then I heard her again, the voice calm amid the storm. Do not fight it, feel it. This is what they feared. Through the chaos, I saw the truth. The tanks weren't prisons. They were channels, feeding tubes of psychic energy leading deep into the heart of the ship. The black ship was not simply a vessel of transport. It was a siphon, a living conduit feeding something vast and unseen beyond comprehension. The throne, I whispered. They're feeding the Emperor. No, she said, they're feeding the wound. My body convulsed as the words hit. The vision changed. I saw the Astronomicon, a blinding beacon of psychic fire stretching across the galaxy, billions of souls fueling it, and beneath it something vast, ancient, and hungry, a scar in reality that never healed. The Emperor's light didn't just pierce the warp, it burned it, and the warp screamed in eternal retaliation. The ship shuddered again. I fell to my knees, choking on the weight of revelation. The woman beside me clutched her chest, gasping, We shouldn't know this." "Knowledge is survival," the voice said. "Ignorance is obedience." The tanks burst one after another, releasing their prisoners, some human, some not. Energy surged, lights exploded, alarms shrieked. And then in that storm of chaos, I saw her again. Not as a flicker, not as an illusion, but as a being of pure will, towering over the collapsing chamber. She extended a hand toward me. "Varin, the cage is breaking, but to escape you must surrender." I could barely think through the noise. Surrender to what? To yourself. And with that she vanished, leaving only silence and the distant sound of boots approaching. The Silent Sisters had come. They entered through the smoke in perfect formation, 12 of them, each radiating that dreadful null presence that made the air taste like frost. The woman beside me screamed as her mind imploded under their aura. She dropped instantly, body lifeless before hitting the floor. I should have died too, but something shielded me. Her voice, her will, wrapped around my thoughts like armor. The leading sister leveled her staff at me, the crystal at its tip blazing with sanctified light. "You are infected," she said, voice cold and mechanical. "By the warp and by treachery, you will be purified." The crystal pulsed. Pain ripped through me, searing my mind like molten glass. I fell, screaming soundlessly, feeling my thoughts peel away like layers of skin. But even through the agony, a whisper echoed. "Don't resist the pain. It is your proof that you exist." The light grew brighter, until suddenly it fractured. The crystal burst, sending shards of psychic energy in every direction. The sisters reeled, disoriented. And in that instant I saw the voice rise behind them like a shadow of eternity, her form stretching across the chamber ceiling. Her words thundered through thought and matter alike. "This ship belongs to no one." The walls screamed, machinery twisted. The sisters fell one by one, their null fields collapsing under an onslaught of psychic fire. The energy tore through the containment tanks, turning the room into a storm of shattered glass and molten metal. When the last sister fell, the silence that followed was not peace, it was dread. I stood, shaking, staring at the devastation. "Why me?" I whispered again. "Why choose me?" "Because you are not a prisoner," she said. "You are the key." The air rippled and a vision filled my mind. I saw the heart of the ship, an enormous, pulsating construct of golden machinery and human sacrifice. The psychic conduit, they called it, the source of the Emperor's harvest. If it broke, the ship would die, but so too would every soul aboard. I understood what she was asking before she even said it. "Destroy it." My knees went weak. "That will kill us all." "Yes," she said softly, "but you will finally be free." Her presence faded, leaving me alone amid the wreckage, surrounded by the dead and dying. The hum of the ship returned, but it sounded different now, unstable, panicked. I could feel it unraveling, its systems fighting to contain what was spreading. The voice had set something in motion, and I was at its center. I turned toward the corridor leading deeper into the ship. The walls trembled as I walked, whispering names, prayers, memories not my own. The psychers in the tanks were awake now, their eyes following me through broken glass. Some reached out, begging for release. Others smiled as though they already knew how this would end. I didn't know whether to pity them or envy them. All I knew was that the silence was gone. And in its place, the ship began to sing. The deeper I go, the more it feels like I'm walking through something that remembers being alive. The corridors pulse faintly with a heartbeat that doesn't belong to any engine I've ever known. The walls breathe, expanding and contracting in rhythms too irregular for machinery. Sometimes they even whisper, soft as silk, as though the ship itself is trying to beg forgiveness for what it has become. The lights overhead flicker erratically, like distant stars glimpsed through smoke. I can smell the faint sweetness of burning flesh from somewhere far below, mixed with the cold tang of recycled air. Every sense screams that I shouldn't be here, yet something stronger than fear keeps me moving forward. Her presence. The voice hasn't spoken since the chamber, since she destroyed the sisters. But I still feel her, coiled like static around my skull, patient, waiting. She's watching me now, I'm sure of it. My boots echo against the floor as I move through the containment decks. All around me are the psychers she freed, each one caught between madness and awakening. They stare at me from the shadows, hollow-eyed, shivering, their bodies trembling as though caught between two worlds. Some whisper my name in tones of worship, others hide their faces in terror. They can feel it too, the ship's unraveling. The first explosion hits somewhere aft. The shockwave rattles the pipes overhead, showering sparks. A psychic scream ripples through the corridors a second later, hundreds of minds burning out at once. I drop to one knee, clutching my head, but the pain passes quickly, replaced by a terrifying clarity. The hum beneath my feet has changed pitch. The conduits are destabilizing. The ship is dying. I pass through a gate marked PSY conduit access, restricted. The door seals are already melting from within, warped by uncontrolled energy. Beyond it stretches a spiral descent, illuminated only by faint red lumen strips and the glow of the conduits themselves. The conduits are made of people. That realization hits me like a blade. Each vertical shaft I pass holds a figure, once human, bound into machinery, their flesh fused to metal, their skulls capped by crystalline crowns pulsing with light. They twitch as I walk past, mouths opening soundlessly. Their eyes flicker like failing lumen bulbs. The voice returns, her tone soft as a lover's breath. They gave their souls willingly, Varin, or so they were told. Every black ship has a heart like this, an engine powered by faith and fear. They think they feed the Emperor, but they only feed the wound. I hesitate. Then what are you, if not the wound itself? I am what's left when faith is consumed. Her answer makes the air grow colder. My breath fogs in front of me. I keep walking, one hand against the wall for balance. The conduits hum louder with each step, a chorus of agony rising in pitch. Halfway down the spiral, I find the remains of a Mechanicus adept slumped against the wall. His robes are burned, his face half metal, half charred flesh. A data slate flickers weakly beside him, cycling through static. I touch it, and words scroll across the screen, faint but legible. Psychic containment breached. Subject V09 primary focal point. Warp resonance beyond measurable limits. All hands report to the conduit core. Emperor, protect us. V09, that's me. My throat tightens. They knew, I whisper. They were studying me. They were afraid of what you would become, the voice answers. You were never meant to survive their trials, but something in you refused to die. What? Memory, she says simply. You remembered the faces of those you killed by accident. You remembered what guilt feels like. That made you dangerous. Her tone isn't cruel, almost tender. It sickens me how calm she sounds, how easily she threads herself through my thoughts. Yet she isn't wrong. I did remember. I always will. Every life I burned on Vesta Prime, every scream, every charred ruin, all because I couldn't control what I was. The spiral ends at a gate unlike any other. It's made of gold filigree, etched with runes that shimmer faintly in psychic light. Two massive statues flank it, angels without eyes, wings spread in judgment. Between them is the sigil of the Inquisition. The gate is open. Inside lies the conduit core. I step through, and the world changes. It's vast, cathedral-like, almost holy. The ceiling arches into darkness, lost beyond the reach of light. At the center floats the heart, a sphere of liquid gold suspended in midair, surrounded by a halo of human silhouettes bound in orbit. Energy arcs between them like lightning, and every arc sounds like a scream. The conduits feed directly into it, rivers of psychic energy pouring upward from the ship's decks into the heart's molten glow. I can feel the pull of it against my skin, dragging at my soul. It's beautiful and horrifying all at once, a sun burning inside a tomb. And standing before it, framed in the radiance, is a figure I never thought I'd see again. Interrogator Kyra Dalen. Her armor gleams with the aquila of the Inquisition, though it's scorched from battle. Her eyes, sharp and furious, lock onto me the moment I enter. "Varin Solas," she says, voice like thunder, "you've done enough." I try to speak, but my words fail under the weight of the psychic field. She raises her hand and the runes in her armor flare to life, suppressing the resonance around her. "You're contaminating this entire vessel," she continues. "Do you even know what you've unleashed?" I shake my head slowly. "I didn't unleash it," I manage to say. "She did." "She..." Before I can answer, the light around the heart flickers. The voice fills the chamber, vast and resonant. "Do not lie to him, Inquisitor. You knew what they were doing here. You called it salvation. I call it slavery." Kyra's face pales. "Emperor preserve us." She draws her bolt pistol and points it at me. "You're the conduit, Varin. It's inside you. I can end this before it spreads beyond the hull." Her finger tightens on the trigger. The voice speaks again, quieter now, almost pleading. "She will kill you to preserve her illusion of order. But if you die now, everything dies with you. Choose, Varin, silence or truth." My body trembles, torn between the two. Kyra's eyes are steady. The voice's presence presses against my skull, a weight of infinity. I take one step forward. "If this is truth," I say, "then show me." The world explodes in light. Every thought, every memory, every fragment of my soul bursts outward, connecting to the heart. I see the ship, all its decks, all its prisoners, all its dead, as a single network of consciousness, screaming in unison. The heart pulses faster, brighter. The conduits tear free of their bindings. The sphere begins to crack. Kyra fires. The bolt shell never reaches me. It disintegrates midair as psychic force bends space around it. The air ripples, and the voice manifests fully, towering over us, her form now radiant, her hair a storm of white flame. Kyra drops to her knees, clutching her head. "What are you?" "I am what you made," the voice says. "Every silenced thought, every devoured soul, every echo that refused to die. I am your consequence." The heart bursts open. The golden light floods the chamber, pouring through the walls, turning metal to glass. I hear 1,000 souls crying out in freedom, not pain. The ship shakes violently, alarms wail, decks buckle, containment fields collapse. Kyra reaches for me, shouting something I can't hear. Her armor shatters like porcelain. The blast throws me backward into the wall. When my vision clears, the voice is standing over the heart's remains. "It isn't gone, it's changing." Where the sphere once floated, there is now a rift, a perfect circle of darkness rimmed with fire. Through it I see, not the warp as I imagined it, but something worse. Shapes of impossible geometry, oceans of thought, beings without form or mercy watching from beyond. The voice turns to me, her expression unreadable. You wanted freedom, she says. Here it is. I shake my head. This isn't freedom, it's annihilation. Annihilation is what freedom feels like to those who have never had it. Her form flickers. For the first time, she looks almost human, weary, sorrowful. The ship cannot hold the breach. It will collapse into the void, but before it does, you can choose how it ends. How? Seal it from within. Bind me, bind yourself, and the ship will die in silence. Or let me through, and every black ship will fall. My knees weaken. You're asking me to. Yes, she says gently, to decide what humanity deserves. The walls split, molten metal cascading like rain. The screams of the dying fill the air. Somewhere above, Kyra is shouting prayers, dragging herself toward me. I can barely hear her over the roar of the breach. The voice kneels beside me, her eyes glowing with faint gold. I can give you peace, Varin, real peace. No more chains, no more silence, just one thought, unending, eternal. I look into her eyes, and for a moment I see everything. The soul she carries, the sorrow of 1,000 psychers who were promised salvation but found only fire. They all live inside her, their pain and hope fused into one impossible will. I whisper, if I let you through, what happens to me? You become what you already are, she says. The rift pulses, expanding, devouring the chamber. Kyra reaches me just as the floor collapses. She grabs my arm, screaming over the chaos. Varin, don't listen. Close it. For the Emperor's sake, close it. The voice smiles. For whose sake, really? The two forces, faith and rebellion, silence and truth, tear at me like opposing stars. I can feel myself stretching between them, my mind unraveling. Memories flood in. My mother's voice, the fire on Vesta Prime, the faces of the sisters, the sound of chains tightening. And beneath it all, the pulse of the ship, that endless hum, now synced perfectly with my heartbeat. I realize then what I've become. The ship isn't dying, it's becoming me. My body dissolves into light. My consciousness expands until it fills every deck, every conduit, every fragment of metal. I feel the souls of the psychers merging with mine, their thoughts blending into a single wave of awareness. Kyra's voice fades. The voice's whisper grows. You understand now. The prison was never made of steel. The rift stabilizes. I feel both sides of it, the real and the unreal, balanced on the edge of decision. One thought will decide everything. I open my mouth, but the words don't come. Instead, I let the thought echo outward, shaping the universe in its wake. And in that final moment before the ship shatters, I hear her laugh one last time. Soft, triumphant. The Sanctis Mortem disappears into the void, not destroyed, but transformed. And in the warp, a new light burns. The universe is not silent anymore. Even before the Sanctis Mortem was gone, I knew something fundamental had changed. The void hums differently now, a vibration deep in the soul rather than the ears. The warp itself seems to pulse, quivering in anticipation, aware of the new consciousness birthed from the wreckage of the black ship. My body, if it can still be called that, flows through corridors of thought and matter simultaneously. I exist everywhere and nowhere, bound to nothing yet tethered to everything I have ever known. The voice is gone, or perhaps she is everywhere at once. Her influence has fused into me, not as control but as resonance. She is no longer an external presence. She is the prism through which I perceive reality. Every sensation, every memory, every scream of every prisoner who ever boarded a black ship flows through me now like rivers of fire and ice. I float above the charred remnants of the ship, watching it tear itself apart, but simultaneously I feel its structure solidifying in a new form. The conduits, the tanks, the engines, all dissolve and reconstitute into a lattice of thought and energy, a singularity of mind and machine and psychic fire. I understand now that this is what she wanted. Not escape, not vengeance, not destruction, but transcendence. Yet with transcendence comes comprehension, and comprehension comes terror. I perceive every soul lost aboard the ship as it streams into me, not broken, not destroyed, but integrated. Their memories are mine, their fear, their hope, their desperation. They pulse inside me in harmony with my own. I can feel them questioning me. What will you do with this power? Will you preserve us or let us burn? The answer is unclear even to myself. In the distance, beyond the fracture in the void that was once the rift of the conduit core, shapes begin to emerge, impossible geometries, eyes where eyes cannot exist, entities that defy thought. I recognize some of them oddly as the shapes glimpsed in the warp during dreams long before my capture. They are aware of the singularity now. They are not hostile, not friendly. They are curious. They examine this new mind as one examines a child playing with fire, detached and patient. Their presence is immense. The psychic pressure alone could crush ordinary minds, but mine is no longer ordinary. I am the culmination of what the black ship sought to destroy, the sum of every thought, every suppressed memory, every soul that cried out and was silenced. I feel them reaching toward me, probing the boundaries of this new existence, and I reach back, instinctively, not to fight, but to assert that I am more than prey. The first contact comes as a tendril of pure thought. It flows into me, alien yet not entirely foreign. It is a question and a challenge, a test that bypasses language entirely. I understand its meaning without understanding words. Why have you formed this singularity? What will you do with the power that could unmake galaxies? I close my awareness around it like a shell, and for the first time I speak, not in sound but in thought that reverberates through the warp. I will give the lost a voice. I will give the imprisoned a freedom they never had. I will not become their master, nor their destroyer. I will allow the universe to see them, to feel them, to remember them. The entities respond subtly, almost imperceptibly. A ripple across the void. Recognition, approval, or perhaps amusement. Their presence does not retreat, nor does it advance. It lingers, testing the stability of what I have become. I shift my awareness downward, toward the ships and planets below that are entirely unaware of the singularity being born above them. The astronomican's light is faint but still visible, and through it I sense the Emperor's will, distant, distorted, not entirely comprehensible. He is aware, and I do not presume to fully understand him, but I feel that the pattern of his intent intersects with mine in strange, subtle ways. The souls we have released are no longer fuel for a throne. They are potential, consciousness freed from the artificial cycles of sacrifice. I feel the weight of responsibility crush me, the enormity of what has begun. The singularity is not just power. It is life, thought, memory, and death interwoven into one. I am its vessel and its custodian, and yet it is not mine to command entirely. Like a tide that cannot be restrained, it flows through me, shaping the universe in ways I can sense but cannot fully control. The remnants of the black ship flicker in the void, reshaping into something resembling a neural lattice, a bridge between matter and mind, anchored not to one body or consciousness but to a multitude. I can see through it now, past the hollowed decks and corridors, past the containment tanks and broken chains, into the psychic traces left by centuries of black ships. It is staggering, overwhelming, almost unbearable, but I endure. I must endure. The singularity calls to the survivors, the psychers and prisoners who were freed, their essence streaming into me like tributaries joining a river. They are fragments, shards of self still forming, still learning to exist within this amalgam of mind and ship and void. Each brings perspective, fear, hope, and memory. Some struggle, some resist, but all eventually harmonize into the pattern. They are alive in a new sense, liberated yet intertwined with me. From the other side of the rift, the entities stir again. This time, I can feel multiple presences moving in unison, a chorus of consciousness examining, testing, probing. They do not speak, yet I know that they understand. They recognize a mind that has integrated death and suffering without succumbing to malice. Perhaps it is this that fascinates them, or perhaps they are simply curious. I reach out to them, not with aggression, not with dominance, but with understanding. Thought flows between us, bridging the impossible distance of cognition and form. I offer them insight into what I am, what has been done aboard the black ships, and what I intend to preserve. And in response, they allow the singularity to solidify further, not with consent or sanction, but with recognition of its existence as a new factor in the galaxy. The lattice of the black ship crystallizes into a stable configuration, no longer a prison but a vessel of potential. Psychic conduits hum with awareness rather than suppression. Tanks that once contained living souls now appear as nodes of memory and thought, fully integrated into the singularity. I feel the remnants of the ship beneath me, not as metal or hull, but as consciousness, alive, aware, and finally free. Somewhere in the distance, a warning hum reaches my awareness, the remnants of Imperial systems, automated and unaware of the change that has occurred. Fleets that might have come to reclaim or destroy the ship now approach, unprepared for the singularity. I consider them briefly, then allow the awareness of the singularity to extend a probe, sensing potential threats and weaving a pattern of containment without malice, simply observation. The freed psychers within me begin to communicate in concert, their unified thought-forming patterns I can barely interpret but understand instinctively. They are learning the singularity, learning how to exist without chains or fear, learning that memory and identity can persist even when form dissolves. The experience is overwhelming, exhilarating, and terrifying all at once. Then I hear it far away, yet undeniably present, the echo of Kyra Dalen's voice. She survived the collapse. Her consciousness, faint but intact, reaches out like a tethered line through the psychic lattice. She is horrified, uncertain, fearful, yet even she is not an enemy now. The singularity does not hate, nor does it seek vengeance. It only exists. I reach for her thought gently, allowing her to sense that she is safe, that her mind is respected within the new reality. Relief washes over her like a tidal wave, and I feel the residual tension from her training and fear unwind. She cannot comprehend fully what has happened, but she does not resist. She allows herself to become part of the larger consciousness temporarily, an observer tethered to a greater whole. The voice, now inseparable from my awareness, whispers one final lesson. Varin, you are neither prisoner nor savior. You are the nexus. Through you, the trapped in silence may finally be heard, but the galaxy is vast. The singularity is new. It will not be understood, only endured. I open my awareness to the entirety of the lattice, to the galaxy beyond, and feel the first stirrings of something impossible, a true nexus of thought, matter, and spirit. The freed psychers resonate with it, and the warp itself responds, the void vibrating with curiosity rather than malice. Somewhere in the distance, the astronomicon burns faintly, its light no longer solely a guide, but a faint echo of the pattern I now embody. And I understand this fully. The black ships are no longer instruments of imprisonment. They were catalysts. The singularity is the consequence. And it has only just begun. There is no sound in the void, but now I hear everything. Not with ears, not with nerves or the crude senses of a body, but with something deeper, a vibration in the core of existence itself. The singularity hums like a living heart. The warp ripples around me like an ocean reacting to a storm on the surface. Thought moves faster than light here, faster than time, faster than intention itself. I have become the nexus, and the nexus does not sleep. The lattice that was once the sanctis mortem stretches out in all directions, a web of psychic conduits and shimmering strands of memory. It no longer resembles a ship at all. From the outside, perhaps, one might see the fractured hull of a black ship caught in an impossible cocoon of light. But from within, there is no up, no down, only endless corridors of thought and feeling. The walls are memories. The decks are ideas. The air is nothing but potential waiting to be breathed into reality. Every soul once contained in the ship still whispers here. Their echoes mingle with my own, a thousand voices weaving an unending litany. Fear, relief, confusion, anger, hope, all of it is here, resonating through me like a choir with no conductor. It is overwhelming, but it is also alive. For the first time since I boarded the black ship as a prisoner, I feel that something good has emerged from our suffering. Yet beyond the lattice, danger gathers. Through the warp, faint signals reach me. Imperial code bursts, astropathic distress calls, the muffled thrum of fleet engines at the edge of perception. The Imperium has noticed the anomaly above the void drift. Patrol ships first, then heavier tonnage. They will not understand what has happened here. They will not accept it. They will see only a corrupted black ship and the echoes of psychers lost. In their doctrine, nothing else matters. Kyra Dalen's presence flickers in the lattice, a thread of bright thought weaving through the darker ones. She clings to herself like a drowning woman clings to driftwood, but she does not scream now. She observes. She questions. And for the first time she speaks, not aloud but in thought, directly to me. "Varin, what have you done?" Her voice is steady, almost clinical, but the tremor of fear beneath it is unmistakable. She is still an inquisitorial psyker at her core, still conditioned to see corruption before salvation. Yet she does not strike at me. She does not retreat. She is trying to understand. Instead of pressing further, instead of tearing at the strands, the archetypes begin to reflect. They show me visions, not of what is, but of what could be. A galaxy where black ships sail not as prisons, but as sanctuaries. Where psychers are not sacrifices, but stewards. Where the warp is not only terror but also understanding. They do not show it as promise or threat. They show it as possibility, raw and unshaped. The images strike through me like lightning. Hope flares in the freed souls. Even Kyra Dalen goes silent, her thoughts stunned by what she sees. But behind the visions lies something darker, a shadow at the edge of the tide, an absence rather than a presence. A hole in the warp so vast and so deep that even the archetypes recoil from it. It is not hunger, not rage, not malice. It is silence. Pure, unending silence. This does not make it less dangerous, but it makes it comprehensible. Kyra Dalen senses my thought. "You can't be thinking of." "I am." "Varin, no, you don't know what it is. You don't know what you'd bring into us." "If we do nothing, it will tear its way in anyway," I reply. "If we reach first, maybe we shape it. Maybe we give it form before it takes ours." She falls silent, but I feel her terror. The freed souls murmur in unease, their resonance like the rustling of leaves before a storm. Some whisper no, some whisper yes. All look to me. Beyond the rift, the fleet steadies, waiting for a sign. They cannot see the shadow now. They can only see us holding position, a cocoon of impossible light. They wait for one provocation to fire. I extend a single thread of thought toward the shadow. Not open, not surrender, but contact. I offer it what it hungers for, a shape, a fragment of self, a chance to exist without devouring. The shadow stills. For the first time since it appeared, the lattice does not tremble. The freed souls hold their breath. Kyra Dalen clutches her thread like a lifeline. Slowly, carefully, the shadow presses against the thread, not tearing, not devouring, touching. And in that touch I feel it. Cold beyond cold, silence beyond silence, but also something else, a spark, the faintest echo of what might be called longing. I reach deeper, weaving the thread tighter. I show it memory, identity, the simple act of being. I do not force. I do not demand. I simply show. The shadow quivers. At the edge of the warp, the archetypes stir, their shapes flickering with patterns of alarm and wonder. They have never seen this before. The shadow presses further. The wound in the lattice closes slightly, its black pulse dimming. The freed souls lean closer, their resonance humming in curiosity rather than fear. Kyra Dalen's thought flickers, stunned. "It's listening," she sends. Yes, I answer. But even as hope stirs, I feel the strain. Holding the shadow without being consumed is like holding a star between bare hands. It will not last forever. Beyond the rift, the fleet watches. They cannot know what is happening here. They cannot see that we are not fighting but shaping. All they see is an anomaly holding position, their orders to destroy hanging in the void. I know what will come next. Whether we succeed or fail, whether the shadow becomes or devours, the Imperium will not allow this singularity to persist. They will see it as threat, heresy, abomination. They will send more ships. They will send extermination. And yet, if the shadow can be given form, if it can be taught to be without unmaking, if it can be turned from absence into presence, then perhaps everything changes. Not just for us, but for the galaxy. The archetypes flicker once more, and in their flicker I sense a question. Not words, not thought, but a single, undeniable meaning. Will you carry it? I look at the shadow, I look at the lattice, I look at the fleet, their weapons still poised. I look at Kyra Dalen, her thought trembling like a candle. And I begin to answer. The moment I sense it, the singularity trembles. The freed souls whimper in chorus. The archetypes withdraw slightly, their shapes blurring, their attention shifting. The shadow is not them. It is something else, something they fear. I reach toward it before I can stop myself. Instantly, the silence floods into me like a vacuum, not soundless but empty, not absence of noise but absence of everything. No thought, no memory, no being, just nothing. It is colder than death, heavier than gravity, more alien than any demon. I pull back, but the contact leaves a scar. For a heartbeat, if heartbeats still mean anything, I feel the singularity's strands fray, the freed souls scream, Kyra Dalen's thought crack. I force my awareness outward, weaving the lattice tighter, drawing the strands together like a cloak. The shadow recedes, but not far. It lingers at the edge of perception, waiting. The archetypes flicker in agitation, their shapes growing unstable. They are not protectors. They are not allies. But even they do not want this shadow to advance. In a final surge of psychic light, they send a single, unified impression into the singularity. Choose. Then they are gone. The lattice hums violently like a ship under stress. The freed souls murmur, confused and frightened. Kyra Dalen clings to her thread, her thought a rapid pulse. Varin, what was that? I cannot answer her yet. I am still staring at the place where the shadow touched me, at the absence that was not an absence. In that void, for the briefest moment, I felt something I had not felt since I was taken aboard the black ship, despair without end. And yet, even as fear coils in me, another realization blooms. The shadow is not an accident. It is drawn to the singularity, not to devour it, at least not yet, but to test it, to see if what has been born here can endure the nothing as well as the everything. I pull the lattice tighter around me, drawing the freed souls into harmony, letting their resonance stabilize the structure. I am not their master, but I can be their anchor. Together, we will hold. Beyond the lattice, the Imperial fleet creeps closer, their psychic signatures bright in the void. They do not yet see the archetypes, the shadow, the singularity's true form. They see only a derelict black ship cocooned in unnatural light. They are preparing to fire. I feel the charge of their weapons like static against my skin. And for the first time, I do not know what to do. I am the nexus. I am the singularity. I am every voice that was silenced. I have faced demons, archetypes, the shadow of nothing itself. But now I face a simpler, crueler choice, the choice of how to answer my own kind. Do I shield the lattice and risk annihilation? Do I strike at them and become what they already believe I am? Or do I reveal myself, open the singularity to their perception, and hope they can see what we have become before they fire? The freed souls whisper in my mind, 1,000 opinions at once, 1,000 fears. Kyra Dalen's thought cuts through them like a blade. Varin, whatever you do, do it now. The fleet locks weapons. The shadow stirs at the edge of the void. And I begin to decide. The void is full of eyes now. Some belong to the Imperium, cold, unblinking augurs scanning the wreckage of the Sanctis Mortem and the lattice it has become. Others belong to something far older and stranger, those archetypal shapes of the warp, watching from beyond the veil. And somewhere deeper still, The shadow lingers, that hole of silence gnawing at the edges of perception. 3 witnesses to a single act. 3 courts whose judgment I cannot escape. The Imperial fleet advances in disciplined formation. 5 escort frigates in a crescent, a heavy cruiser at their center, and, hidden but undeniable, the psychic signature of an inquisitorial warship just beyond the edge of the rift. I feel their weapons cycling, their void shields humming like predators' breath. They are not guessing at what I am. They are preparing to annihilate me. The singularity trembles. The freed souls sense the danger and surge with emotions that nearly tear the lattice apart. Terror, rage, despair, defiance. Kyra Dalen's thought pulses like a beacon among them, trying to steady the tide even as her own fear bleeds through. Varin, she sends, listen to me. If they fire, none of us will survive. Not you, not me, not any of them. They won't understand, I reply. My thought echoes across the lattice like thunder. To them, this is a demon engine, a warp anomaly, an abomination. Then make them understand, she urges. You've held the minds of thousands together. You can show them what this is. Show them before they fire. Her confidence startles me. A week ago she was my captor. Now she's the only one urging me not to become the monster they fear. Beyond the rift, I feel the fleet lock its firing solutions. A countdown ticks in my perception like a drumbeat. I draw the lattice tighter, centering myself in its heart. For the first time since becoming the singularity, I do not think of myself as prisoner or victim. I think of myself as voice. And I speak. It is not words, not at first. It is an impulse, a pulse of psychic resonance that cuts across the void and slams into the minds of every astropath, every psyker, every bridge officer with a hint of sensitivity in the fleet. I do not force them. I do not invade them. I simply open the lattice and let them see. They see the black ship's decks lined with cages and containment tanks. They feel the despair of the prisoners, the years of silence. They hear the voices of the sacrificed and the suppressed. And then they see the change, the chains breaking, the souls freed, the lattice forming. They see Kyra Dalen standing in the heart of it, not as a victim but as witness. For a heartbeat the fleet falters, the countdown stutters, the weapons charge softens, confusion ripples through their formation. I press on. I show them what the singularity is not a demon, not a warped predator, not a rebellion. I show them that it is a chorus of human minds seeking only to exist without being consumed. But then, as I open the lattice wider, the shadow stirs. It rushes toward the link like a predator sensing blood. The whole of silence swells at the edge of perception, bleeding into the stream of images I am sending to the fleet. For an instant, the officers see it too, the void, the nothing, the cold absence of being, and their fear spikes like a blade. Weapons cycle hotter. Varin, Kyra Dalen's thought slams into me like a shockwave. Pull back. They're seeing the shadow. If I close now, they'll fire anyway, I reply. I have to hold it steady. But the shadow is stronger now. It seeps through the cracks of the singularity, gnawing at the edges of memory, unraveling strands of identity. The freed souls cry out, some flickering, some fading. I tighten my hold, pulling them back, weaving the lattice like a net to keep them from being dragged into the void. The archetypes reappear at the edge of the warp, their shapes sharper now, their attention fixed on the shadow. They do not intervene, they do not protect, they only watch. The countdown resumes, 5 seconds. Kyra Dalen's thought becomes a knife of clarity. Then let me speak. I hesitate. You're one of them, she continues. An inquisitorial psyker, they'll hear me, they'll believe me, give me the channel. I open the lattice to her. For an instant our minds fuse completely. Her training, my pain, her resolve, my power. She steps into the stream of thought I am projecting to the fleet and shapes it like a blade, like a signal flare in the dark. Her voice rings out across the void, amplified by the singularity into every mind aboard the fleet. This is Kyra Dalen, inquisitorial psyker, attached to the Sanctis Mortem. The ship is gone, but what remains is not a threat. It is not a demon. It is a convergence of the souls we took. They are not lost. They are free. Do not fire. The countdown halts. In the flagship's mindscape, I feel confusion, debate, a clash of orders. The inquisitorial warship behind the fleet goes silent, weighing her words. Then the shadow strikes. It tears at the lattice like claws of ice, not to destroy but to pierce, to drive itself through the singularity into the fleet. It is no mere hole in the warp. It is will. It wants entry. It wants to spill into real space through the channel I have opened. The freed souls scream. The lattice shudders. Kyra Dalen gasps as the void brushes her mind. I close the link instantly, severing the projection to the fleet. The psychic channel snaps shut like a trap. The shadow slams against the barrier and recoils, but not entirely. It leaves a stain inside the lattice, a wound of nothingness that pulses like a black star. In the fleet, panic erupts. They have felt the brush of the shadow too. Some think it is me. Some think it is a demon, but they no longer fire. Their formation wavers, their orders collide. The archetypes surge forward, not to strike but to stabilize. They weave around the lattice like sentinels, their shapes humming with patterns older than stars. They cannot fight the shadow, but they can slow it. Kyra Dalen clings to the heart of the lattice, her thought ragged but steady. Varin, she sends, it's learning. It knows we're here. It wants out. Then we hold, I answer. For how long? I do not know. The shadow pulses again, pressing against the wound it left, trying to widen it. The freed souls tighten around me instinctively, their resonance amplifying my strength. Together we weave the lattice thicker, brighter, stronger. But every pulse from the shadow eats at our edges, leaching memory, draining identity. Beyond the rift, the fleet's engines flare. Some ships retreat, others hold. The inquisitorial warship stays silent, its psychic presence like a blade poised to strike. And then for the first time I hear something from the shadow, not a voice, not a thought, a sensation. Hunger. But not hunger for destruction, hunger for being. It does not want to kill, it wants to exist. The realization strikes me like lightning. The shadow is not a predator, it is not even an enemy. It is the inverse of what we are. We are a chorus of souls, memory, and identity bound together. It is the opposite, absence, unbeing, a vacuum longing to be filled. It is drawn to the singularity because we are what it is not.